Are you struggling to understand the difference between crystal and fluid intelligence and what it means for you in your understanding of memory science or even your daily life, especially at work? If so, let's zoom out and change your perception of these critically important terms and hopefully provide a bit of motivation to develop both of these levels of intelligence. First, let's think about it as the difference between becoming obsolete in the workplace and making sure that someone younger and smarter never takes your job. It's the difference between having a two-pronged approach that lets you show your value quickly in your profession or failing to stay relevant in the workforce as the years fly by. The job market might be competitive, but I'm going to show you how you can use that two-pronged approach I mentioned to show your value quickly at work and then hang on to your job and even excel as the years fly by. Not only that, but this approach to intelligence will also help you in your daily life, keeping you sharp as a tack no matter your age. And it all comes down to one of the biggest debates that have had philosophers, scientists, researchers, and psychologists arguing for centuries. It's the simple question: what is intelligence, really? It's a tough question, and one I intend to answer. So if you're new here, get started now by getting subscribed, enabling notifications, and for the love of memory, hit that thumbs up, because for our purposes, intelligence is defined by your ability to learn new information and use that knowledge to identify and solve problems. You can use logic, reasoning, quick thinking, and planning to conduct daily activities effectively. And before you ask, no, you're not born with it. And yes, you can boost your intelligence and thereby your social capital by using a proper memory method. And I've got several tips you can use to get started today. But first, let's take a closer look at intelligence, specifically the two types of intelligence, crystallized and fluid. The theory of fluid and crystal intelligence was first proposed by psychologist Raymond Cattell in 1963. The concept was further developed by his student John L. Horn in the 1970s and 1980s. Their findings came to be known as the Cattell-Horn theory of intelligence, which states that the ability to reason is fluid intelligence and the capacity to acquire knowledge is crystallized intelligence. If you're still struggling to understand, try this thought experiment. Think about yourself versus artificial intelligence. Alexa, Siri, and Google might have a world of knowledge at their beck and call, but they don't have the same reasoning capability you have, at least not yet. Here's a fun example of fluid intelligence that helps explain what I mean. While working as the Mercator guest professor at the University of Saarland, I took a lot of trips to the Louvre for research. During one of these trips at a Paris hotel, my shower wasn't working. I had checked in late at night, so there was no possibility of calling the plumber. But I still managed to take the equivalent of a quick bath. Instead of giving up and not attending to my bathing needs, I filled the drinking glass with water from the tap and poured it over my body. Is today's artificial intelligence likely to come up with a solution like that? Probably not. And for the sake of human survival, we never want to become so stupid that we have to ask computers how to solve simple issues like this. Instead, we want strong, fluid intelligence, hard at work, always running in the background so it can come up with novel solutions like these to the unique problems that come up in everyday life. It's also this kind of on-the-go problem solving your employer uses to decide whether to hire you or not, and later give you a raise or a promotion. If you're the "I'll ask Siri" person at your company, instead of the person with the ability to analyze, reason, and think inside of the box to find original solutions to new problems, you're going to be looked over. And yes, I said inside of the box, whereas far too many people are looking outside of boxes that aren't even there. True fluid intelligence uses logic in new situations or tasks, recognizes patterns, and incorporates abstract reasoning towards problem solving. How? By dealing with the actual reality of the world as it actually appears, such as by spotting a glass near the sink and finding a way to use it to solve an issue inside the box, not outside of it. There's more. Fluid intelligence is used when you solve math problems or jigsaw puzzles. You also use fluid intelligence when you start plucking on a guitar without prior training. But get this, your fluid intelligence does not necessarily depend on previously acquired knowledge. A person who is street smart uses his fluid intelligence very effectively. Fluid intelligence depends on your working memory, which is stored in the prefrontal cortex of your brain. It is governed by the anterior cingulate cortex and dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, regions of the brain responsible for attention and short-term memory. You use your fluid intelligence when you identify patterns in logical reasoning questions, assemble a complex jigsaw puzzle using a picture, develop strategies or a game plan to solve problems, think inside the box when solving problems, or eliminate unwanted information when you conduct research. In the workplace, the psychology behind fluid intelligence is welcome because it's where new ideas come from, creative ways of solving problems, and it's what you'll hear CEOs call fresh talent. Fluid intelligence is great, but here's the bad news. It starts to decline with age, sometimes as early as your 20s or young adulthood. The older you get, the less fluid your intelligence is. While fluid intelligence is a strength of youth, you can keep yours sharper and stronger even as you age, and we'll get to that soon. Let's take a look at crystal intelligence. Crystal intelligence, or crystallized intelligence, is your ability to use knowledge and information previously learned over the years. This type of intelligence is what you acquire through education and experience. Crystal intelligence gets cemented in the hippocampus, neocortex, and amygdala, parts of the brain that store and use long-term memories. You use crystal intelligence when you do long division or are learning a new language. These tasks also require focused attention. Ultimately, these terms are measurable. You can literally test and measure it through your grasp of vocabulary, grammar, reading comprehension, and your competence in quizzes and game shows. Both internal and external factors impact the development of crystallized intelligence. Internal factors include your innate curiosity and motivation to learn new things. External factors are the surroundings that you grew up in, your family, educational institutions, and society in general. Crystal intelligence is at work when you answer questions related to history or geography in a quiz. For example, when did Columbus first arrive in America? Learn and speak different languages. Know the exact ingredients used to prepare your favorite dishes. Learn new words in your native language. Memorize new math formula or facts. Conduct a surgery on a patient. Remember the demographic statistics of a country you're reading about. And the good news is, since crystal intelligence relies on the accumulation of knowledge, it is usually maintained with age. It peaks and declines much later in life as compared to fluid intelligence. Interestingly, research shows that older people are valuable as workers as they make up for a decline in fluid intelligence with crystallized intelligence. They have a world of experience behind them and can make excellent decisions based on real situations. Crystal and fluid intelligence aren't opposites by any means, and you don't just have one or the other. In fact, they work together more often than you might imagine. And that's when you'll shine brightest, when you embrace both. For example, when you build a table, you use the woodworking skills your dad taught you years ago. This is your crystal intelligence. You figure out which raw materials to use, which tools to use, and how to follow a detailed design. You also use fluid intelligence to reason and find solutions to any hurdles you face. For example, maybe a certain tool is not available and you need to find a substitute. This solution is then transferred to long-term memory and becomes part of your crystal intelligence. If you face the same problem in the distant future, the solution would be retrieved from your long-term crystal memory. How about in the kitchen? When you're making grandma's cheesy broccoli casserole, you're using your crystallized intelligence to understand and follow the recipe. However, when you decide to give the recipe a new twist by using different ingredients and spices, you're using your fluid intelligence. It transforms cheesy broccoli casserole into Parmesan broccolini bake with crispy pancetta. This isn't to say that fluid intelligence is better than crystal intelligence. Each is equally important to function well in everyday life. As I discussed earlier, fluid intelligence is directly related to being creative and innovative, i.e. your street smarts. Crystal intelligence, on the other hand, relies on being book smart. However, today's education system and our dependence on technology may deprive our brain of developing its natural aptitude for creative problem solving. Educational institutes even resort to the Wechsler intelligence test or other IQ tests to determine the cognitive skills in students based only on crystal intelligence. Many cognitive training tasks also give more importance to developing crystallized intelligence. However, I believe the goal should be to strengthen your overall intelligence, be it crystal or fluid. Crystal intelligence is closely linked to long-term memories. Fluid intelligence is, however, associated with short-term memory or working memory. Research says that if working memory is deficient, the ability to acquire knowledge and related skills will be limited. A study by Susan Gathercole and Tracy Alloway showed that working memory functions as a bottleneck for learning in individual learning episodes required to improve knowledge. But what does that mean? Well, in simpler terms, you need to develop your fluid intelligence to enable your crystal intelligence to work well. Let's look at how you can do just that with 5 magnetic ways to sharpen your fluid and crystallized intelligence. And remember, make sure to subscribe, hit thumbs up, and ring the bell to keep yourself competitive in the workplace and beyond by discovering some fantastic memory improvement strategies and more tips related to the psychology of your memory. Okay, here are 5 great ways to improve both types of intelligence. First, create memory palaces. When you build memory palaces using the magnetic memory method, you are using both fluid and crystal intelligence in ways that enable you to improve them. The magnetic memory method palace is a powerful way to train the brain regions that govern your fluid and crystal intelligence. It's also a better method for remembering and learning information than using other techniques like mind mapping on its own, because you're innovating and drawing upon existing mental content at the same time. Plus, anytime you can combine intelligence and memory strengthening, you get holistic improvement of all levels of memory. You can move short-term memory into long-term memory faster and permanently with a minimum amount of practice. Second, get creative. To be creative, you don't have to come up with original ideas all the time. You're creative just by finding new connections between existing ideas. This could be as simple as finding a new route to go to work, starting new eating habits, or adding new ingredients to a pasta recipe you've stuck to for years. Or if you're an artist, simply abandon your tools for a while and wander outside or travel to a new place. Inspiration for your next masterpiece may strike you from unexpected places, and sometimes constraints fuel creativity. So set yourself time and space limits to complete a project. Third, challenge your brain. Technology has made everyday life so easy for all of us, so switching off is a great way to challenge your brain. Remember the saying, use it or lose it, and unplug from your devices every once in a while. For instance, navigate to a new landmark in your city without a GPS. Seeking new experiences, learning new skills, and staying busy with hobbies and people are great ways to keep your fluid and crystal intelligence sharp. You might also learn a new language, watch a new genre of movies, read on a topic that is alien to you, or just try using your non-dominant hand for a few everyday activities. Fourth, meditate regularly. Mindfulness meditation is a way to engage new neural pathways in your brain. Research has proven that this neurostimulation can transform your body and brain positively. This form of active brain training can improve your focused attention, long-term retention and recall, and your working memory capacity, which are all important aspects of your fluid and crystallized intelligence. And finally, get a good night's sleep. Want to get a sharper memory? Get more sleep. As counterintuitive as this may sound, sleep can sharpen your intellect. In fact, sleep is one of nature's most ignored memory boosters. If you're well rested, you stay alert and attentive throughout the day, which positively affects your ability to retain more and learn new things like driving a car or learning a new language. Want to know how to boost your intelligence magnetically? Memory science is important and worth reading, but you are the ultimate scientist in the laboratory of your own memory and intelligence. Why not get cracking at a new intelligence boosting experiment with me today? Register for my free course and I'll send you my free improvement worksheets and videos, all available at magneticmemorymethod.com. Plus, I have many more tips and strategies for you that will lead to massive memory boosts. Always remember, the more you learn, the more you can learn. So if you want to know more about how memory science can help you, learn all about semantic memory and iconic memory on this channel next. And as you continue growing your knowledge and skills, thanks for the view and keep yourself magnetic.